All right, let's dive right in. We're talking about a huge new tool in public safety drones. I mean, an eye in the sky can literally save lives. But for fire departments, it's not as simple as just buying a drone off the shelf. Nope, it's about building a rock solid program, one that's safe, super effective, and, won't get you sued. So let's open up this playbook. If you're a fire chief or a city manager, you're always facing this question when some powerful new tech comes along. On one hand, you've got this tool that could totally revolutionize everything. See through smoke, find victims faster. It's a complete game changer. But then there's the other side of that coin. Because every new tool brings new risks, right? What if the tech fails at a critical moment? What if somebody uses it the wrong way? How do you keep from opening up a whole new can of worms legally? So the real challenge isn't just using the tech, it's taming it. It's making absolutely sure your new strength doesn't accidentally become your biggest Achilles heel. So where do you even begin? Well, think about it this way. You would never, ever build a new firehouse without a detailed blueprint, right? Of course not. A drone program is exactly the same. So phase one is all about strategy. It's about planning everything out and getting everyone on the same page before a single drone even thinks about taking off. The very first step is to take a good, hard, honest look in the mirror. We call this assessing program readiness. You have to ask the tough questions. Where are we right now? What policies do we have? And more importantly, what are we missing? Is our command staff actually ready to handle this new fire hose of information? Finding these gaps from the get-go, that's the foundation for everything else. When you get right down to it, the whole strategy really just boils down to answering two critical questions for the chief and the city leaders. Number one, where are we weak? And number two, is the reward here really worth the risk? And how can we stack the deck in our favor to minimize that risk? If you can answer those two questions honestly, you've got the business case for the entire program. Okay, once that blueprint is solid, it's time to write the rulebook. Seriously, think of these as the building codes for your drone program. This is all about policy and procedure, creating the guardrails that are going to keep your people safe, your operations effective, and, this is a big one, your department out of court. Now, here is a core principle, maybe the core principle, that has to guide every single policy you write. It's this: UAVs, that's unmanned aerial vehicles, are support tools only. They are there to give information to human decision makers, not to replace them. This conservative approach is absolutely the key to making sure your program can stand up in a court of law. And this really shows you the central tug-of-war every department has to deal with. On one side, you want operational freedom, right? You want to let your skilled pilot use their best judgment on a scene. But on the other side, you need a policy that's court defensible, with clearly spelled out roles. A great program finds that perfect balance, but it definitely leans toward having clear rules to slash that legal liability. And here's another non-negotiable rule. A drone can't just be some rogue agent flying around a fire scene. No way. It has to plug directly into the Incident Command System, or ICS. That's the proven command structure that runs every single emergency. The pilot reports to command, feeds information into that system, and works as part of the team, not as a separate entity. Oh, and getting this policy right, it's not easy because you're not writing it in a bubble. You've got all these different stakeholders. The fire chief wants to know about operational value. The city's lawyers, they're laser focused on risk. The union is looking out for member safety. And then you have the FAA, making sure you're following all the airspace rules. A winning policy has to make all of these groups happy. Okay, so we've got our blueprint, we've got our rule book. Now we need a crew that actually knows what they're doing. A brand new, top-of-the-line fire engine is totally useless if no one knows how to drive it. And it's the exact same thing with drones. This phase is all about the people, training them up and always getting better. A smart training program isn't just some one-and-done weekend class. It's got to be a phased approach. Of course, it starts with teaching pilots how to fly safely and legally. That's step one. But step two is just as important, teaching the incident commanders how to use the data the drone is sending them. And it never, ever stops. You need continuing ed to keep everyone's skills sharp. So let's see how this all comes together in the real world. One of the most powerful ways to use drones is in fire investigation. Honestly, they can completely change the game for how investigators see and analyze a scene after the fire's out. Okay, so the first thing a drone does at an investigation is capture everything. It flies these perfect, systematic grid patterns over the scene, snapping hundreds, maybe thousands of high-res photos. What this does is create a perfect, pristine digital time capsule of the scene from every conceivable angle, preserving all that evidence before a single investigator even steps inside. Now for the really cool part. All of those photos get fed into some pretty amazing software that stitches them all together into an incredibly detailed, super accurate 3D model of the fire scene. Investigators can now basically walk through the burned out building on their computer, take precise measurements, and analyze burn patterns, all from their desk. And the final result here is what really matters when you go to court. You have objective, measurable, and verifiable evidence. This data gives rock-solid support to the investigator's expert opinion, and it follows the scientific principles laid out in standards like NFPA 921. It's not just a cool 3D model, it is hard, factual evidence. But the learning never stops. After every single mission, and I mean every single one, whether it's a real fire or just a training flight, the team holds an after-action review. This is not about pointing fingers. It's a totally neutral, fact-based debrief to answer 3 simple questions. What went well, what didn't, and how do we do it better next time? So when you put all these pieces together, the blueprint, the rulebook, the well-trained crew, you've moved way beyond just having a drone. Now you have a complete systematic toolkit for success. You have a real, honest-to-goodness program. The source material for this whole explainer is actually built around 10 different consulting prompts, with one for each step of the process we've just walked through. The takeaway here is that this isn't some random checklist of good ideas. It's a fully integrated system where every part supports all the others, from that first analysis all the way to the final report. And having a complete system like this does one more incredibly important thing. It helps you get the money to pay for it all. See, when you can walk into a city council meeting with a program built on reducing risk, clear policies, and accountability, you're speaking their language. You're not just asking for a new high-tech toy. You're presenting a responsible, well-thought-out investment in public safety. So we've seen how fire departments can build a playbook to safely and effectively bring in powerful new technology. It really makes you think, though, right? If this systematic, risk-aware approach to innovation works for firefighters, who else needs a playbook just like this? Police departments, public works, hospitals? It's a framework that could work almost anywhere that new technology meets really high stakes.